Pradeep.
Yes, Pranesh, this is a very important point because 14 days was enough time for the Pakistan to act against terror, because on one hand Pakistan keeps on claiming that they are victim of terror, but instead of acting against terror-related elements, what Pakistan was doing, they were red flagging that India was acting as an aggressor. Deliberately, India was trying to make it an issue, while as nothing of that sort has really happened, and they were nowhere involved. And we had seen that how they had been running towards different countries and begging for peace because they knew they had committed a crime. There is going to be definitely strong consequences, and they will have to face this time. Because strong assertion that Prime Minister has made, mitti mein mila dunga, those words have finally been translated into action. And within 14 days, we have seen that how Indian Air Force as well as Army had been able to decimate their headquarters in Muridke, as rightly said by Sindoor. And if we talk about Bawalpur, this is spread in 6.5 acres of land. This is considered to be one of the biggest headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, where Masood Azhar used to hide in one of the boroughs. And finally, they will not be having any space to hide. Prime Minister said, ki mitti mein mila dunga, and that has been proved right by our forces, that how they have carried out this attack with precision. And now what actually the Indian ambassadors and others are trying to do, they are getting in touch with
viewers. This is India's war on terror. Let's not mince our words. Military, economic and moral fight, and India is fighting without apology. The Prime Minister had left the decision to our armed forces, and here we are. The armed forces did the evaluation that they had to do, and this is the result. Operation Sindoor is successful. The world is talking about it, viewers. You heard the first comment by Donald Trump. He says, let's do this quickly. I hope that this, concludes quickly. So, he may be the most powerful man in the world, but when a democratic country acts like this, decisive action to protect its honor, pride, sovereignty, and fights for justice, everybody follows. And like they say, that if you show the moral courage and compass, the world is with you, and that is what is happening. Pathikrit, I'll come to you. Major General Rajan Kochar is also joining us. Sir, good morning. What do you make of this Operation Sindoor?
Good morning, and first of all, congratulations to the whole nation that we have responded in the way we had to respond. And what is important here is, I would like to highlight here, is that it is an operation against terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. We have not hit any military target. So this has to be very, very clear to the world, to the viewers, that we are not going in for an escalation. We have given it back to Pakistan the way our Prime Minister wanted it to be done. Second is, it's very, very precise operation. Selection of targets have been very meticulously done. And one important observation here is that it is not restricted to POK only, because targets like in Pahalgam and all have been addressed in Punjab. So the message going from India is that whatever terror infrastructure is available across the line of control, across the international boundary, it is going to be addressed. Now, the next important aspect is why I say that we didn't want to get into the escalatory mode, is the selection of the weapon system. The selection of the weapon system is precision-guided munitions. That implies that there would be no collateral damage to the targets. It will be a precise strike, coordinates known to us, and we have delivered at the target. We have not strayed into, because many a times you will find that a missile is launched or a rocket is launched and it goes some 500 meters away. Here is a precision target where the circular error of probability, CEP as it is called, it's only 3 meters.
Right.
So that is the way. Now, coming to the type of weapon, I am given to understand that it is a joint operation carried out by the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. So that would again give us an implication that a BrahMos kind of cruise missile has been used because the Pakistan air defense system has not been able to stop or detect these missiles. And why I actually say this? Because BrahMos normally has a low trajectory, so the detection is difficult. Then the speed is of a supersonic missile. It's around 3 Mach. So to detect for a normal air defense system, and Pakistan air defense system, I have analyzed it, it is not that strong to be able to intersect a cruise missile flying at supersonic speeds.
Right.
So what I actually guess is that Sukhoi aircrafts have been retrofitted for carrying out BrahMos missiles. So it is most possibly the strikes have been done.
Major General Kochar, we were discussing as much. In fact, before you joined us live, Patitrit was telling us that it was a calculated guess. Obviously, he said that it could well be the BrahMos, but there are reports doing the rounds that Rafales were also used, the Scalp cruise missiles and the Hammer standoff weapons. Patitrit, what is your sense?
It can be either of the three BVR, missiles, whether it can be a Scalp or a Hammer or BrahMos. But I would still believe that it is a BrahMos primarily because of the supersonic characteristics of BrahMos, primarily at 3 Mach. And at that speed, as I stated earlier, none of the air defense systems or the radars associated with that anywhere in the world can actually do anything to it. Forget about BrahMos, even the Tomahawk, which was a subsonic cruise missile which used to be launched during the Iraq War or later on, even that used to be dreaded by most. So compared to that, BrahMos is several generations ahead of it. So I think in all likelihood, if you look at the trajectory of the places where the air exercise was going on, it's probably around off the Gujarat coast, which is pretty far away from the Bawalpur region where the strikes happen. So I think this is mostly the BrahMos, and if it is a joint operation between Indian Army and Indian Air Force, invariably it is a surface-to-surface versions of the BrahMos.
News just coming in and sources telling us, I'm picking this from a news agency, that precision strike weapon systems of our three forces. It's interesting that we were here discussing that this is an operation conducted by the Army and the Air Force. But this suggests that even the Navy was used. It says the coordinates for the attacks on terrorist camps inside Pakistan and Pak-occupied Kashmir were provided by the intelligence agencies. The attacks were carried out from Indian soil only. And it's important to highlight that precision strike weapon systems of the three forces, the Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force, were used in the attacks. Major General Kochar.
Yes, you see, you cannot rule out any kind of possibility at this stage because we are in the realm of speculation. So possibly once a press statement comes, the government will make it clear. But it is, I think it is unlikely that a naval platform has been used in this attack. You can get information, yes. Navy also has got its surveillance and it has got a P-18 maritime aircraft also, which gives you a look inside the enemy territories, and it can actually provide you the information, coordinates as you rightly mentioned. But in my assessment, I don't think Navy would be involved at this stage because, see, there are 9 specific targets selected. Location is up to 200 kilometers from the border. The ranges of our missiles are in excess of 200, so that implies that we have not gone into Pakistan. We have fired from within us, and in 2019 we didn't have this capability.
Right.
This capability, because of Balakot we had to go inside. But here in this case, we have developed this capability in the last about 6 years. And I also would like to make a mention, please don't rule out the use of drones, because I see some slow moving objects also on the visuals. Now drones are fitted with loitering ammunition, so they are they have a capability to remain uh, uh, operational or functional in the air for a number of hours.
Right.
Sustenance capability is longer, and when they actually sense a target, only then they are launched. So this loitering ammunition also, when you see that blast effect, I can see that blast and a fire effect, a fireball effect on the target. So let us not rule out the possibility of a swarm drone attack. And today, let me tell you, in the last 2 years, this capability has been achieved by the Indian Army as well as the Air Force. So we have within our own selves the capability to launch a dual strike, which is a combination of drones and missiles. So this we
Right,
saw
Major General
this.
Kochar, just stay with us, sir. You know, it's important to tell our viewers, that all three forces, the Army, the Air Force and the Navy, were part of this Operation Sindoor. Pradeep Datta is also with us. So is Suhail. Suhail has some more information to share. Yes, Suhail, quickly.
Well, we are on, in fact, in Uri, close to line of control. You can see intense shelling is taking place, in fact, and people have started coming up their homes, taking, in fact, moving to safe shelters. This intense shelling started after this Operation Sindoor, wherein 9 targets were hit across POK, particularly in Muzaffarabad. And since then, this intense shelling is taking place on line of control. Our forces are also responding to this shelling, and we are also getting reports from Kupwara, wherein the civilian areas have been targeted, but on ground zero the electricity has been cut to this particular area, which is very close to line of control. And here I can completely hear from last 1 hour now, intense shelling is taking place. Fighter jet activity is also happening over the skies, basically signaling and giving us understanding that our forces, be it the Indian Air Force or Indian Army, is actively responding to the situation that has now in fact started developing after Operation Sindoor. So it was first the Indian Air Force and our Indian Army that targeted 9 locations across POK or terror camps, and after that, in response to that, continuous ceasefire violations are being done by the Pakistani forces. There is blasting taking place, but our security forces, the Indian Army deployed on line of control, is effectively responding to those ceasefire violations. Blasts, sounds are continuously
Right, we'll keep coming back to you, Suhail, for more updates. But Pradeep, it was also a seaborne exercise the Navy used in this Operation Sindoor.
Yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, from very first day, they had been saying anytime, anyhow, anywhere. And we have seen that there had been naval was also involved in exercise. And they also went ahead and tried to choke maneuverability for the Pakistani ships as well as their submarine. So Navy, in fact, from very first day, they made it clear. The reason is obvious, because one of the naval officers was killed in this Pahalgam Massacre. So Navy personnel were quite angry, and they had made up their mind that this time they are going to make things really difficult for Pakistan forces to move, or the Pakistan Navy to move in the marine waters. Already we have seen that this was a combination of Navy, it was a combination of Army, and it was a combination of Air Force. And what is more important is that there was secrecy, and there was a complete surprise element, and finally it has sent the shockwaves so far as Pakistan Army as well as the Pakistan establishment is concerned. Because what is more important is that once again the Pakistan was caught napping, because last time when Balakot strike was carried out, that time they had put...
Pradeep, I'm sorry to interrupt. News just coming in, sources suggesting that the Indian forces had selected the location for strikes with the intent of targeting top Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar leadership for their role in sponsoring terror activities in India. So this is big. Patitri just goes on to tell you that what the intent was. This was not some, ordinary firing across the border. We wanted to go deep inside and send a message to where it matters.
Well, absolutely, Pranish. During the Balakot strike, also the fear of Pakistan was that the target will be Bahawalpur, headquarter of Jaish-e-Mohammed. So I think this time it is not the limbs which are being targeted, it is the heart and the brain which is being targeted. Of course, invariably, what I would rather suggest, this is my humble submission, that this should be our standard counter-terror response mechanism. That every time a terror attack is orchestrated or executed by Pakistan inside India, this is the way India would respond, and not just by merely killing the terrorists inside India who were executing the operation. You have to raise the bar of consequence, and this is exactly what the Americans and the Israelis have done. Right now, the Americans are undertaking major similar operations on the Ansarullah Houthi terrorists in Yemen. The same, capabilities were utilized by Israel as well. But I must say one thing, Pranesh, we should be very careful about two things. Number one, the shelling that is happening right now in the border is out of frustration of Pakistan that they have not been able to thwart or preempt it. Secondly, the possibility of another terror strike by Pakistan cannot be ruled out. So we have to be very, very, remember some of those elements who did the Pahalgam are still there. We haven't, we haven't been able to catch them. There can be other sleeper cells involved. That is one issue that we should be very careful. The other thing, I still believe it is the stage one of the entire conflict. The conflict is far from over, and that is where the role of Navy, the role of Air Force, everyone comes in, because it's not going to end today itself. There will be a retaliation and there will be a counter response. My last statement, see, today if you look at the new generation frigates and destroyers of Indian Navy, all are armed with BrahMos, and most of them are armed with the new generation BrahMos, which have a range of 450 kilometer plus. So the possibility of, and yesterday a PA-type Poseidon of Indian Navy was plowing in the Arabian Sea. If it had already mapped these terror hideouts, we should not be surprised. So there is a role all of three are playing, and they're all waiting for the next step, because I think Indian policymakers have already factored in what they will do in case there is a retaliation, which is more than what is happening right now in terms of shelling.
And you're right, and just goes on to tell you that the statement that we've seen from our embassy in Washington, it says that Pakistan had 14 days to act to get its house in order, and Pakistan's fault if it couldn't do anything. It did zilch, zero, nothing, no action. In fact, it said that Pahalgam was one false flag operation, and you saw the kind of innuendo, bravado, inane comments from Pakistani politicians. And now, if you see the chatter on social media, they are now, saying things they're playing to a gallery. They have to, because people there must be saying that, look, you could not even detect Indian missiles. Major General Kocher.
Yeah, you see, this disinformation campaign has already started. I'm just going through some of the reports here, where from the Pakistani media they are claiming that 2 Indian aircrafts have been shot down. So this kind of a disinformation will start.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just big news coming in, sir. Major General Rajan Kocher, and I want you to come in on this, and Pathikrit, that we are being told that Prime Minister was monitoring Operation Sindoor as it unfolded. Every minute, every detail was being watched. The Prime Minister was there with his core team monitoring every bit of Operation Sindoor. This happened, like we've been reporting, at 1 a.m. Our missiles hit terror targets across Pakistan and deep across Pakistan, because if anyone has any doubts, you just need to know the location of Muridke on the map of Pakistan. It is close to Lahore, and that is, far from the line of control. So we hit deep. We've gone beyond Balakot. This is one precision strike. And while this was going on, while 9 terror targets were being struck, the Prime Minister with his core team was monitoring every bit of Operation Sindoor. General Kocher.
It's very, very meticulously planned, and I think the Prime Minister has been actively involved. If you remember, the Prime Minister had called individually the 3 service chiefs. Normally it is not done. Normally, they all come together and with the Raksha Mantri and your NSA and the CDS. But a change we saw this time was that Prime Minister wanted to be convinced from all the three chiefs that whatever decision he is going to take or whatever action we are going to envisage, what should be the escalation ladder? Because see, if there is it is going to escalate into a larger thing, possibly that is not in our interest. We don't want to go with a war to Pakistan, and Pakistan is also not interested to go to war, because Pakistan right now, Pakistan military, in spite of all the bravado, they don't have the capacity and the capability to fight a war beyond 10 days with India. I've already done an analysis on a TV channel in which I had actually brought out all about their ammunition and all the other logistic strengths of Pakistan. So even Pakistan is not interested. That is why Pakistan has been going to the Security Council time and again, wanting a closed door meeting and wanting the pressure on India.
Right.
So now what we are looking at right now is that what is going to be the retaliation from Pakistan and what should be the Indian response, because these are the two things which will dictate in case the conflict has to be escalated. What I actually presume is from the statement being made by President Trump, as well as Jaishankar has spoken to Rubio also in the morning, we would not like to escalate beyond that. I think that is the message which has been given to the United States.
Yeah, we would obviously not like to escalate, but that is not to say that India will not ensure justice for its people, justice for our braves and justice for the country. And you know, Pathikrit, while I'm talking to you, I'm going through the Twitter feed, and the kind of messages, it just tells you that this bold approach under Prime Minister Modi, you know, this marks a paradigm shift in what we've come to, as what is called as strategic calculus. Look, you know, for far too long, and you said that yourself, that we've endured Pakistan's cross-border terror with meek, measured response for the fear of escalation, global optics, etc., etc. No more. The Prime Minister made it clear that we will hunt them down to the ends of the earth. And here we are. And now news just coming in that the Prime Minister was inside the war room with his squad team, monitoring every bit of Operation Sindoor.
Pramesh, you know, this has become a standard feature, because when the post-Uri surgical strike happened, or when the Balakot airstrike happened, Prime Minister's office was monitoring right from the point that the green signal was given. So I'm not surprised that the Prime Minister even this time was awake and was monitoring it with his entire cabinet committee on security. The other important issue here is to watch out for what Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan and Baloch does tomorrow, because organizations like these have always kept their conflict with Pakistan below a certain threshold, because Pakistan has the missiles and the artillery. So if they have been literally, exposed by what has happened today, and if the escalation happens literally, then invariably tomorrow you would see the Tehrik-e-Taliban, even Afghan Taliban, opening a front against Pakistan. And that is Pakistan's biggest fear right now. Secondly, the escalatory matrix is exactly what the Prime Minister wanted to understand, and that's why you had a series of meetings. And I'm sure all these war games have already been done by the armed forces in the past to know what they will exactly do. And that's why you see the deployment of Indian Navy in full might in the Arabian Sea right now. And third, we have to watch out. I would reiterate this. Pakistan's terror organizations would also be under pressure to retaliate. So let's not presume that terrorism is going to end today. They would try to do something, and we have to be very, very careful in that format. But we have to make it very clear to Pakistan that Balakot strike happened 6 years back doesn't mean that the next missile strike will happen another 6 years later. It may happen 6 days, in another 6 days, if you don't mend your ways. So the Pakistanis were caught off guard in the Uri surgical strike. They were caught off guard in Balakot because they thought that the Balakot...
You're absolutely right, and the Pakistanis were caught napping once again in the dead of the night at 1 a.m. Pradeep, when the world was sleeping. Our forces struck deep inside Pakistan and hit 9 terror targets, and all were successful. Top sources telling us that the Prime Minister was watching all of this in the war room with his squad team.
We have seen that there had been a paradigm shift in the military strategy, because earlier everybody used to say if you are going to cross line of control, there can be a full war, conventional war, and then it will be very difficult for you to stop things. But Prime Minister made it clear that time also that if you will keep on violating line of control, this is not going to be sacrosanct for us, and we are going to cross it, and we are going to hit you hard where from your terrorists are operating. And same thing happened during the Balakot strike, and this third surgical strike had been with precision. This time they have hit in the heart of Pakistan. They have hit Bahawalpur, they have hit Muridke in Lahore. That means they clearly indicated to the fact that during the last few days there had been several terror attacks in which we had seen how Lashkar and Jaish, they were trying to shift the theatre of terror from Kashmir Valley towards the Jammu region. They had been targeting over Behwar, they had been targeting over non-locals, they had been targeting Kashmiri Hindus. So they were trying to destabilize the situation.
Right.
And enough was enough when they finally targeted unarmed tourists. And that was the time when Prime Minister said, the blood of Indians is not cheap. And if we are going to target our people, we are not going to leave it there. And we are going to make you pay for each and every sin that you have committed.
We've made
and that is
Pakistan
exactly
pay. Abhijit Iyer Mitra also joining the broadcast. Abhijit, good morning. You know, we told Pakistanis that we will brighten the night sky. Here we are, Operation Sindoor.
Yeah, so it's impossible to say how much damage. The one thing we know is that Bahawalpur compound, the mosque compound that had expanded significantly has been hit. We have visuals from the ground on that. I'm afraid we don't have very good news coming from Kashmir. It turns out it's one of our own aircraft that we've shot down, that has been shot down. The pilot has been taken away in a stretcher, and there are no visuals allowed out of there. So, yeah.
You know, Abhijit, we have Pathitrit with us. Srinjoy is there, Major General Rajan Kochar, and we were discussing about the kind of weapon used. They believe that it could be the BrahMos because of its supersonic speed. Abhijit.
Oh, sorry. Look, I think it may be the BrahMos. It's at least from the sound we heard. The visual we've seen where these guys are driving and a missile suddenly comes and hits. It is most likely it is the BrahMos, given the kind of whistling you're hearing. But again, it's impossible to say. We've got a lot of supersonic missiles in our arsenal which we could have used. Is it a BrahMos? Possibly, yes. Again, we can't confirm till we've seen visuals of the wreckage and seen the debris of the missiles. I'm sure by the morning there will be much better quality visuals of the debris, and then we'll be able to confirm.
Okay, but Srinjoy is back. Srinjoy, you got a call. You went out. What's the news?
Well, very clearly, the point that I'm hearing is that there were certain targets, and there is evidence with the authorities that those targets were accurately hit, and the results are very positive. That's what we are hearing, which basically means, yes, there were certain targets, and as I had said earlier, we started this morning by mentioning the 9 targets before anybody else. And we also told viewers what the targets were. Now we hear that there is evidence, obviously visual evidence, of the fact that the targets have been hit and the results are successful. That is what we are hearing. It's very important that the targets were hit and the right places targeted were hit, and that has been successful at this point, and that's particularly important.
Okay,
it's
Pradeep
important
Datta,
those
you know,
targets
waving
were
to
hit.
us. I think he has some more information. We'll go to Pradeep in just a bit, but viewers, let me quickly recap this. You know, breaking developments. The Prime Minister was up all night, was constantly monitoring Operation Sindoor throughout the night. Abhijit Iyer Mitra is with us, Major General Rajan Kochar, Pathikrit, Srinjoy Chaudhary, our team of reporters getting you all the details. We have also been told that at 11 this morning, there will be the CCS, the Cabinet Committee on Security will be meeting. There's also a Cabinet meeting that will follow after that. At 10 in the morning is when the MEA and the MOD are expected to hold a briefing. But Abhijit, the Prime Minister, in his first statement after the Pahalgam attack had said that we will hunt the attackers, the perpetrators to the ends of the earth. And here we are. Before I come to you, I quickly want to, play out what the Prime Minister had said then.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
This was April 24th. Today is 7th May. Abhijit, a lot has changed.
Yes, a lot has changed. First of all, we need to remember we've never carried out this kind of strike before, this kind of multi-weapon, multi-domain strike. The latest report seems to indicate the Navy was also involved. Now, I don't know what the Navy's involvement was. But for 9 places like this to be hit, unprecedented. We've been very precise. If you look at all the visuals coming in from Bahawalpur Hospital, it seems only fighting age men have been injured. There are no visuals of women or children. There are some Pakistani accounts putting this image of a dead child out. It is impossible to confirm if it is from here. Only all the visuals I'm seeing from Bahawalpur are all fighting age men. So we've clearly targeted very well. It's clearly terror targets, because we've said very clearly we've not targeted the military, we've only targeted terror targets. So that's all we can say for the time being now. I don't know how the Pakistanis are going to react, because Shehbaz Sharif has said this is an act of war. Now, does an act of war equate to a declaration of war? I don't know. But it shows you that they're not treating this with the emergency it requires, because technically their cabinet should have gone into a meeting today. They are saying they're going to go into a meeting tomorrow morning. So clearly even they are not sure about what they want to do. Let us see. I think we will get a much clearer image in the morning.
No, you're right. No point jumping the gun. We can only assess the extent of damage, etc. once, we have more details. But you were right when you say that going by pictures from Bahawalpur, at least from outside the hospital, there are unconfirmed reports that say that, casualties to the tune of over 50, 60. Now, we don't know what happened. Pradeep is back with us. Yes, Pradeep, what's the latest?
Yes, right now all I can say is that the escalation on line of control is continuing. There has been firing going on from Pakistan side. Till yesterday it was a small arm firing, but now it has graduated to artillery being used by Pakistan, trying to target our posts. That clearly indicate that Pakistan is completely rattled. They don't know what exactly to do, and India is going to give them a befitting reply. Already we have seen a very strong response from Indian side going on, whether it's a Poonch sector, whether it's Naushera sector, whether it's Krishna Ghati, whether it's Bimbar Gully, the firing is continuing. You rightly said, so there are several reports emanating from across the border. We are saying that more than 80 people have died. Now, what Pakistan is trying to do, trying to blame India. Pakistan is saying that India has targeted civilian areas, whether it's Muridki or whether it's Bahawalpur. But everybody knows what is in Bahawalpur and what is in Muridki. India has made it clear that they are going to hit terror den, because for the last several years, we have seen that how Lashkar and Jaish, they were bleeding in India, 1,000 crores. They were trying to...
Okay, let's...
But they're flying now because Hamid Mir is putting out all kinds of rubbish. So we might also want to take it with a very big bucket of salt.
Of course, of course. You know, there was another video being pushed by the Pakistani handles of a jet. That incident had taken place a year and a half ago. So that is the Pakistani psyop propaganda, actually. You know, not psyops, but we have a reaction from Donald Trump. The world is reacting to India's Mazboot response. Donald Trump was asked a question. This is what he said.
And the door. Just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval, just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
Okay, Abhijit, I'm just coming to you. Tejshri, our colleague is now joining us. Tejshri, bring us up to speed. We can see you, Tejshri. Go ahead.
Disclose the location from where we are reporting right now. We will not tell you the location from where we are reporting right now, but definitely it is one of the closest location to the LOC, and in the pictures we'll try to move forward and show you that what's happening here. Remember that after Operation Sindoor, Pakistan is desperately now trying to violate the ceasefire. Not just that, but also in fact trying to attempt attacks, and this is a failed attempt by Pakistan. You can see that how this entire area was targeted by Pakistan, but definitely the Indian defense system has struck back, and in fact they were able to control the damage there. This is the area from where we are reporting right now. These are the live pictures that we are giving you from the LOC. However, there is no damage, no casualty in this area, but we have been constantly showing you that how after India's strong retaliation after the Pahalgam terror attack, how India carried out the Operation Sindoor. 9 terror camps were busted, they were destroyed, and now in a desperate move, now Pakistan is trying not just to violate multiple times the ceasefire, but also in fact trying to attack such kind of areas, and it's a failed attempt by Pakistan, as you can see in the visuals. Remember that there have been fake news that Pakistan has been spreading, but yes, definitely one thing is very much clear, that this is a failed attempt by Pakistan to in fact attack all these areas, and here that is why we are reporting, showing you the pictures with utmost responsibility, so as to what is happening over here at the LOC. We are reporting just nearest point over here from the LOC. Yes, definitely there is a movement of the security forces over here, but we are not telling that from where we are reporting, from where is the location. But yes, again we'll show you the visuals so as to what is happening over there. You see that's the particular area where the Pakistan targeted, but yes, the Indian defense system had in fact completely was able to in fact retaliate.
Stay safe. That's more important. Stay safe. Amita is now joining us. Amita, take us through the 9 locations where we struck.
And this is the news that everyone that has been waiting for has finally come, exactly when it comes to India striking at the heart of terror. And these are the terror dens, viewers, that has been hit by India as far as this Operation Sindoor is concerned. The locations here are very clear when it comes to these multiple strikes that has been carried out, at least 9 locations. And not we are talking about when it comes to terror hideouts. We are talking about terror headquarters of organizations like the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the LET, that have been struck right in the heart. And this is exactly when it comes to Operation Sindoor. According to sources, what we are learning, that the operation has been successful. The Prime Minister, who has been continuously monitoring the situation, and this is considered as the war room, because there are very selective few people who actually have the information about Operation Sindoor and how it was carried out. Because remember, it was the Prime Minister who gave a free hand to the forces, saying that you choose the time, the location, and how the operation would be carried out. So these are the targets that we are talking about. Target number 1 that talks about Murid Cave. We are looking at target Gulpur, we are looking at target Bhimber, we are looking at Chakamru, Kotli, a camp near Sialkot, we are looking at Bhavalpur, we are looking at Muzaffarabad, and all of them are terror camps, Pranesh. And this is where exactly when it comes to the heart of such organizations, the headquarters.
Abhijit, your thoughts on these 9 carefully selected targets?
So we know every one of them had some kind of a terror complex there, which was very suitably disguised, as a mosque. So if you note, I had tweeted out Detresfa's post from 3 days back on the 5th of this month, which was a mosque complex. If you look at the satellite imagery, it looks like a mosque, except it was expanded. It had a swimming pool. Tell me what mosque has a swimming pool? Of course, they filled in the swimming pool. Kuch to sharam hai un logon mein. But, it was very much a terror training complex. And that the first visuals we've got are, in fact, that exact mosque in Bahawalpur. Right? Now, all the other targets, we're trying to now get imagery of that targets. As you realize, it's impossible to get proper satellite imagery at night. But I'm sure it's going to be following the exact same pattern. If you look at the visuals coming in from the hospitals, these are people dressed, with long beards, typical sort of Pakistani dress. It's impossible to say who's a civilian and who's a terrorist. It's not like a terrorist looks very different. But they're definitely students from some religious seminary. And that is usually how these terror camps are hidden. So I won't be surprised if all 9 of them were that. We have, of course, claimed we have not hit any military targets. So clearly, there's no military folks involved. Terrorists, almost 100% guarantee they are.
Pathikrit.
So, Pranesh, if Abhijit was talking about some of the tweets by Hamid Mir. Hamid Mir is trying to project as if it was a cross-border strike by the Indian Air Force fighter planes which have crossed the LOC, which I don't think has happened. Even if the Air Force was involved, it's probably the BVRs which have been used beyond visual range. They don't need to cross the border given the kind of arsenal they have right now with long-range missiles. So I think there will be a lot of misinformation which will be spread by Pakistan right now because I think they still have the hangover of Balakot that the fighter planes came in and then they bombed right over there, which in all likelihood did not happen that way this time. Either it was a BrahMos or something else. Even if the Air Force was involved, they don't need to cross the LOC anymore. But I think out of this frustration, there would be some kind of action. Probably some shelling is happening right now along the LOC. We have to see how that frustration takes shape. But I think right now, Shahbaz Sharif would have a very, very peaceful sleep because I think as for their worst nightmare, they were thinking something would happen in Rawalpindi or Islamabad. The fact that it has happened in Bawalpur and some other places, I think they are a little relieved right now. So if they are having a cabinet meeting probably 3-4 hours down the line, that is because they need some sleep right now. Secondly, I think they would try to show some bravado. But if that bravado is the way they did it post Balakot, dropping bombs here and there the next day, then we don't need to worry. But I reiterate, the possibility of another terror strike cannot be ruled out if it is today or tomorrow.
Of course, because you have that the sleeper cell, the network of the overground workers waiting for the next order from their masters across the border. Sinjoy.
Yes, that's entirely possible that there could be another terror attack. And apart from that, yes, what we heard just now is right. The Pakistani forces could retaliate. They did the day after Balakot, not with great success at all. But again, certainly, surely, this has been worked out. This has been war gamed. So if there is a retaliation, then India is prepared for it. The Air Force is prepared, the Army is prepared. As far as what I heard, the Air Force was involved, the Army was involved. We've been hearing this for 2 hours. The Army was definitely involved, and precision-guided munitions were used by the artillery. The Air Force was always also involved, and similar kind of weaponry was used. So what it means for the general viewer is that Pradesh, a target can be very close to you. The target will be hit, but you will be all right. That's what I'm trying to say. So precise targets to ensure that only terror camps were hit, not military targets and not civilian targets. I asked a source right at about 2 o'clock in the morning about pictures and so on. He said, well, it's all over social media. Have a look. And that's exactly the point that has been made already by our guests, that yes, there are casualties, there are some serious casualties, but they all appear to be terror camp related. There are no civilians and no military people involved. This was a precise attack on terror camps.
And as we speak, Abhijit, look what Pakistan is resorting to. Only a country as foolish as Pakistan can do this. So the terror targets have been struck by missiles, and Pakistan has rolled out tanks on the streets. And as we speak, the DG ISPR, the propaganda arm of the deep state, has said that 8 Pakistanis have been killed, 35 have been hurt. Abhijit.
Arey bhai, we ourselves are looking at the visuals coming out of Bahawalpur. It seems like more like 30 people have been killed. What are they trying to listen? People these days have their own mobile phones and things, yaar. Kisko buddhu banane ki koshish kar rahe hain? They think we're all gochus like them or what? And I don't know what those tanks are for. I'm looking at those tank visuals. All they're doing is they're destroying their own roads. First of all, you shouldn't be taking tanks on roads like this. It's going to destroy a proper concrete highway. So who is this in aid of? It's certainly, we are not getting threatened by it. We're laughing looking at this. They're only destroying their own roads. They don't even have money to last them 2 weeks. And they want to destroy the one good road that they have. Then they're taking it off and destroying their own pavements. What is this meant to be? Is this meant to be some maneuver to show that it can go from the road to the pavement? We already know tanks can do that. What is this in aid of? I'm just wondering what Ghochu saw fit to first do this maneuver, and second, the even bigger Ghochu who decided to take videos of this and pass this off as some kind of show of force.
This is Pakistan's resolve of telling, their people that we have it in ourselves to hit back by, rolling out 1 or 2 tanks. Pradeep.
A tank is 40 tons. Can you imagine what it will do to a road?
That's what Abhijit is saying.
Yes, sir. See, Pradesh, you're absolutely right. In fact, what Pakistan is right now resorting to their peddling lies. Because on one hand, their statement came that Indian Air Force has not entered the Pakistan airspace. And they fired from their own airspace and tried to target some of the locations there in Muridke, in Kotli, as well as in Muzaffarabad. And then now they are saying that there has been a dogfight. The 2 of the aircraft had been shot down by Pakistani Air Force. The question arises when they did not cross Pakistani airspace. They did not enter Pakistani airspace. So where is the question of the dogfight? So that clearly indicates that they are peddling lies. And if you can see that some of the tweets being put out by their journalists who are being sponsored by none other than Inter-Service Intelligence, they are saying that they are putting out pictures of MiG-21, and that MiG-21 had crashed 2 years back in Moga. They are saying that this happened in Akhnu region. So see how they are continuing with that false fake narrative, because they want to demoralize our forces. Our forces are well prepared to deal with the situation. Already they have proved a point that last time also
Pradeep, that's the thing. We are not getting demoralized. All this is meme material. Abhijit?
Bro, this is so bad, it's not even worthy of being turned into a meme right now. It is sub-meme material. Iska to main meme bhi na banao. I don't know what they're thinking right now, but yeah, I mean, this is Pakistan we're talking about.
But Abhijit, I'll tell you, before you joined, I asked Patitrit, I asked Srinjo, I said, what happened to the Chinese technology capability that, Pakistan was boasting of? What happened to the Chinese radars?
Well, I don't know. With the Chinese, with Chinese technology, if you see what happens with MG and things like that, they apparently spontaneously combust on Indian roads. So imagine how their radars are. So, like as the car, so the radar. But yeah, look, that's all I have to say on this topic.
Okay.
It also depends. You can have something very high-tech, but how do you know how to use it properly? That's also something that has to be kept in mind. If you can't use the stuff properly, what's the use?
True, they may not have known which button to press.
They may not have spares. See what is happening. They may not have spares. The maintenance may not be that good. Yes, we've been hearing that these radars and the AD systems have been running all for a fortnight. They've been on.
Okay,
But
so
what
you're
has
going to
it
stay
led
with
to?
us. Amita, take us through the pictures we have so far. This is the sabut, and the emphasis on the word sabut from Pakistan that yes, India struck deep inside.
This is coming at a time when Pakistan's admission is also coming here, Pranesh and Srinjoy, that yes, then when it comes to their areas, as far as the terror dens are concerned, they have been targeted, and this is precision strikes that have been carried out by India. Look at these. These are visual evidences that is now coming across in the dead of the night, how precision strikes that were carried out by the Indian military forces. And we are looking at these pictures that are now coming in from multiple locations that we pointed out. And these are precision strike viewers that are carried out as far as these multiple strikes are concerned. And the biggest of all is the admission that is now coming from Pakistan that yes, India has struck when it comes to these terror hideouts, these locations, these headquarters that are now considered. What would be exactly happening from here on? Of course, when it comes to the details of this Operation Sindoor is concerned, very few people are in the know, and we will, as the time progresses, as the day builds up, get more information as to how this operation was carried out.
Abhijit, what do you expect from countries like Turkey, or I'm sure you've seen the OIC statement, but that was before the strike.
OIC was best summed up by, I think, was it Zulfikar Ali Bhutto? He said the sum total of 50 zeros is 0. So, and I'm not saying this, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said this. So less said about them, the better. Turkey, what can they do? You know what they do every year in terms of aid to Pakistan? They send one horrible Mehtar band, which is the old Ottoman bands. They send it to Pakistan National Day and they play the theme song from Ertugrul. All they've got is one little corvette. They couldn't find a proper ship to send to Pakistan. They had to send their smallest possible surface attack vehicle to Pakistan to wave the flag essentially. One corvette does not equal a military exercise. Let's be clear about that. What can they do? They'll send them some drones, but remember, you saw what happened with Turkish drones in Ukraine. They made the headlines for a month. Within a month, the Russians had found a countermeasure to the Bayraktar drones, and you didn't hear about them anymore after that, right? So that is all realistically Turkey can do. What more can they do? Also remember, Turkish weapons are expensive. They're not cheap. And Turkey doesn't give any discounts to Pakistan or anything like that. They do it on a strictly business basis. So where is the money to buy all of this? Chinese have stopped giving the discounts. See, the Chinese discounts were applicable on Pakistani delivery on running two insurgencies, the Punjab insurgency and the Kashmir insurgency. Punjab insurgency finished 15-20 years back. The Kashmir insurgency is now decisively over. So even those Chinese discounts are no longer available. They have to pay full price. What are they going to do?
You just heard, Abhijit, Pakistan does not even have the money or the men to operate the machinery that we're talking about. So, you have a situation where even if the Chinese gave them what we are being told, they don't know how it works.
See, the point is, you also, when you have a weapon, you also have to maintain it properly. You also have to know how to do it properly. Yes, they have the ability, but maintenance levels, spares levels, at this point, with their economic situation, you would expect that maybe it's not top class at this point. This level requires, and especially if the radars have been running 24/7 for over 2 weeks, then very clearly there is going to be wear and tear. So if that is so, there is bound to be trouble. And the Turks, yes, what we heard is right. The Turks have given 2 Milgem corvettes. They are corvettes, fine. But it must be said that what we've been hearing, there are no weapons on them. So what's the use of having a corvette that has no weapons on it? 2 OPVs have been bought by the Pakistan Navy. Again, they have no weapons on them. They are new ships. So 2 corvettes, 2 OPVs, offshore patrol weapons, no weapons.
Quickly, Pradeep, you know, Pakistani weapons have been making headlines for the wrong reasons for far too long. It's a legacy issue for them.
Yes, Pranesh, because already there had been intelligence input that if we talk about the Pakistan artillery is something that can change the discourse of any war. And we have seen that their artillery is not going to last for more than 96 hours. There had been reports in this regard. If today they are opening artillery fire, I'm sure that after 4 days they will have nothing to fire upon except for pelting stones, what they can do on the line of control. But still, we should not underestimate our enemy. But one thing is clear, that with this kind of a precision punitive action, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had been able to silence critics, and also he's going to silence all those terror-related elements operating from across the border. When I say silence critics, because there was a gang, Saboot gang, like they had been just out and they had been asking one question: where is the evidence? Because during the first surgical strike they said it was surgical strike. During the second surgical strike they said where is the evidence, where is the proof? And during the last 2-3 days here on television channels, the only debate was where the Congress people and many others were asking questions. So Prime Minister should give the saboot of no surgical strike. But now there is an evidence. Neither Pakistan can hoodwink, nor they can say that there is no evidence, because you can see there on the screen that how there had been explosion in Bahawalpur area, and that is the heart of Pakistan, where they have hit the terror den. It was from here where Masood Azhar used to hide in a burrow, and that was called Subhanallah, where from he used to target our forces, where from he used to plan operation with the help of Pakistan's inter-service intelligence and Rawalpindi headquarters. But no more now they will be able to come out of their burrows. Already there had been a fear of unknown gunmen.
But Group Editor-in-Chief Navita Kumar joining the broadcast. Good morning. You know, what a time to discuss our response to Pakistan. We are discussing Operation Sindoor.
Absolutely. And Pranesh, yes, good morning to all our viewers. Good morning to our guests on the panel. Also, big Jai Hind to our forces that have made this successful strike. And this morning, it's as a proud Indian that we all sit here. We all acknowledge the yeoman service that our armed forces have done to this country, and the resolution with which the government has followed its agenda. It was Operation Sindoor that has been launched, and poignant name given to this operation. Remember, Pranesh, all the people targeted there were men whose religion was asked, and women lost their husbands in front of their eyes. And Sindoor, as you know, is the sign of a married woman. It is avenging that very, very big moment that they had to witness on their own, where their husbands were killed in front of them. And when they said, "Hame bhi maar do," they were told, "Go back and tell your government." And that is why Operation Sindoor brings in just so much poignance at this moment. Yes, it is avenging the massacre of Pahalgam, but at another level, it's a salute to the women who had to see this very, very heartless massacre of their family members, of their men taking place in front of their eyes. Good morning to you, Abhijit Iyer Mitra. You've been following what has been happening this morning, Abhijit. How do you look at these 9 targets, the choice of the targets, and the fact that this is the terror backbone? Our IAF planes have not crossed the border, but still liquidated these terror targets just in a brazen manner that Pakistan was defending them. India has decimated them. What's the message?
The message is very clear. We're hitting all the terror infrastructure. The one in Bahawalpur is the one we have the best imagery of. This is a base we had identified some 3-4 days back on the 5th. In fact, we had tweeted out an image of this, where there had been a very significant expansion. They even had a swimming pool there, which they were at least ashamed enough to fill in. I don't know why a mosque would require a swimming pool, but anyway, they did. Now, and there were also tennis courts and training areas out there, if you look at those visuals right now. So this is something we know about, because Bahawalpur, we've seen images from the hospital coming in. The damage is extremely heavy. From what we can see of those images, we're estimated around 30 dead in Bahawalpur alone. It all seems to be fighting age men. With the other 9 targets, we have not seen visuals come out. I just want to emphasize that Punjab has just had emergency imposed, and the official proclamation of emergency has been declared in Pakistani Punjab, and they are not allowing visuals to come out right now. So even if you look at what the Pakistani Twitter was tweeting out, it has been severely throttled in the last hour or so. We are not getting any more visuals coming out of Pakistani Punjab right now. There's only one conclusion to that. They have suffered some very, very, very serious casualties. If you remember, even during Balakot, all the mobile phones in that region were seized. They did not want anybody to photograph anything. All the phones were taken away. Now, that was a relatively isolated area. Here, you can't afford to take phones away and things like that. You can suspend mobile services, but you can't take phones away. Kitna phone chhinoge aakhir?
Absolutely, phone kitna chhinoge, but at the moment what we are being given to understand, 24 attacks at these 9 locations, Bahawalpur as well as Mudrike, Sialkot, these are the areas where there were the biggest terror camps, Mahmood Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, all becoming history today. We're waiting for those confirmations. We are also hearing that our Air Force they have now targeted a Pakistani Air Force plane which had crossed the border, and that's been shot down. Are there any anything that has happened on the Indian side? Pranesh, can you give us details of any casualties on the Indian side? Pakistan clearly admitting that 24 attacks at 6 locations. So out of 9, 6 have been confirmed by Pakistan. That's a big admission even by Pakistan.
And we are not surprised because we were expecting the kind of saber rattling that was going on in the Pakistani media, more so by the mainstream political parties. Even the defense minister was expecting one imminent strike, and in the dead of the night at 1 a.m. India struck deep. And like Abhijit said, the emphasis should be on Bahawalpur. This is not some, a place near the line of control. We struck deep. And then you have Muridke near Lahore. And, at the cost of repeating what we've been saying, the message is clear that just after the strike, NSA Doval picked up the phone, spoke to his US counterpart and said that, look, we've taken decisive action. And then, Navika, we had a reaction from Donald Trump. He said, I've just been briefed about this while we were walking inside the Oval Office. The two nations have a dispute, this, that, the other. But the message is that India did what it had to do. You were talking about casualties. All the casualties are on the other side across the border. This is India's time to ensure that Pakistan pays in blood in equal measure, if not more, for what they did in Pahalgam.
Well, it's very clear. Pakistan ISPR now confirming 8 dead, 35 injured in overnight strikes. That is ISPR. We also have a video which now shows that Pakistan Air Force plane has been shot down. This is on social media. At the moment, we are trying to confirm this, but video now becoming available from Pakistani handles as well, that a Pakistani Air Force plane has been shot down as it strayed into the Indian airspace. Clearly, absolutely no way that Indian Air Force is going to give any space. Pakistan now extremely spooked. 8 dead, 35 injured is what they are admitting at this moment. Defense strategist Major General P.K. Sehgal joining the broadcast. Good morning, sir. Operation Sindoor launched, and we're seeing the first admissions from Pakistan coming in of the casualties on their side. Clearly, these are being underestimated, but Pakistan just waking up and admitting to the horror that struck them?
Absolutely and truly. In fact, the casualties that they're indicating, 8 killed, 35 injured, must have been at each of these locations. All these 9 locations that are huge hubs, terror hubs. Fortunately for us, and unfortunately for Pakistan, most of them lie in the heartland of Pakistan, that's Punjab. You hit Muridke, you hit Bahawalpur, and you hit Sialkot. All these are in the heartland of Punjab. We've indicated to them loud and clear that irrespective of wherever you are, we will get you. It was a joint operation carried out by Navy, Army and Air Force and very successfully carried out.
Well,
Pakistan is admitting only that...
I'll just interrupt you for a minute, Mr. Sehgal. Srinjoy Chaudhary, my colleague, in the studio with us. Srinjoy, you have some big breaking news. Can you give us the latest update that you have?
We have just spoken with top sources in the Indian government, and this is what we are hearing. Number one, that India gave Pakistan a fortnight, 14 days, because India wanted Pakistan to take appropriate action. And this was not taken for 14 days. Pakistan was in denial mode. All our inputs we were getting showed Pakistan was in denial mode. Only then did India contemplate action. What we are also hearing, that this was a result of very close coordination between the intelligence agencies and the military. And most importantly, all three services were involved. The army was involved, of course, through its artillery. The Air Force was involved, naturally. And what we are hearing is that the Indian Navy was involved in the operation. This is breaking news, Navika. The Indian Navy was involved in the operation. I spoke with someone. He said, yes, the Indian Navy was involved, but I cannot tell you in what way. But certainly the Indian Navy was involved.
Absolutely, the Indian Navy, the Air Force, all of the latest visuals that are coming in, the first rays of the morning sun there, and what do we have that you can tell us in terms of updates on the losses in Pakistan?
Well, absolutely, Navika, because the strike, the moment, the impact is something that it was India, that this is the dead of the night that we are looking at, that it was sunrise for Pakistan and their terror dens. The headquarters that this time that has been hit, and Pakistan doing its best as far as his propaganda machinery is concerned. But this is the point of attack and the impact that happens. We'll get you the exact moment when it comes to a Pakistani jet that was attempting to cross the Indian borders that was hit. This is the counter strike now being carried out by India. The Indian forces there protecting the borders. Even as we speak, the information that was coming from undisclosed locations across the Yellow Sea where there has been firing that has been taking place. India is retaliating, a befitting response that has been coming. And ever since the last 2 weeks, the Pahalgam terror attack that has happened, there has been continuous unprovoked ceasefire violations by Pakistan all along the LOC and the international border as well. So this is that very moment as far as the night skies that has been lit up where a Pakistani jet, Navika, was shot down.
Absolutely, Amita. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra, we are also getting information the Pakistani army and ISI control rooms have been targeted. Can you confirm this for us, Abhijit? Any latest information that you're getting? But there are some reports that are suggesting that the targeting of the Pakistan army and ISI control room also possible.
It is possible, Navika. The issue is, night satellite imagery is virtually impossible. We can't see much, we can't discern much. We do have images, but we're not able to make head or tail of them. By first sunlight, we'll be able to confirm within about 4 or 5 hours, depending on which satellites are flying over. Right now, it's just impossible to confirm. But can I just say this? All of these terror camps, they invariably have a sort of, camp office of the ISI in there. They're not allowed to run things by themselves. They always have some ISI detachment camping out there overseeing, because, they also need to be monitored. Remember, what can be used against India can very much be used against you also. So they also want to know who's coming in the camp, how it's being managed and things like that. I don't know if that is the reference to ISI offices being targeted. But certainly the Bahawalpur mosque certainly had some kind of a fairly large ISI field office operating out of it as far as we can tell.
Okay, important updates. Srinjoy Chaudhary, over to you. Do you have any more details of this precision strikes that have been carried out?
Yes, what I've heard is that the initial report that has come in says that there is general satisfaction about the targets hit. First, the information related to the camps has proved to be accurate. Secondly, the weapon selected appears to have matched what was necessary. Third, the targets, the right targets have been hit and the right results have been obtained. So there is generally satisfaction with the fact that this has happened. Apart from that, on the diplomatic front, what we've been hearing is that, of course, all this planning took place with the Prime Minister involved. The four chiefs, the Chiefs of Defense Staff, Army, Navy, Air Force, Defense Minister, National Security Advisor, all of them have been involved. Now, what we know is that the National Security Advisor has already spoken with senior officials. Naturally, we know Marco Rubio has had a discussion, but also with the British, with the UAE, and with the Saudis. All these countries have been spoken with. Our points of view have been mentioned. That, look, we waited 2 weeks for Pakistan to do something about it, to do something about Pahalgam, to take action against the terrorists who were involved in Pahalgam. But nothing happened. We waited for a fortnight. Pakistan, these are the words that were given to these countries. Pakistan was in quote-unquote denial mode. So as a result of that, India was forced to do it.
Absolutely, Indian hand forced there, Srinjoy. And latest information that we are getting is that our air systems, Akash, were absolutely active since last evening. Even as we speak, Prime Minister is sitting with key officials monitoring Operation Sindoor. In fact, I just want to play out that soundbite of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that showed the resolve of this government to retaliate back and to pay back Pakistan in the same coin as they did with the massacre in Pahalgam. This is what the Prime Minister had vowed. Listen in. Today, he's exercised the option of retaliation to Pakistan. Listen in.
Today, from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done. The entire nation is firm in this resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us. I thank the people of various countries and their leaders who have stood with us in these times.
Well, that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message and warning to Pakistan, message to the world, where he said this is not going to go unpunished, and the punishment, the retribution has come today. India used French-made scalp missiles and hammer bombs from Rafale jets against Pakistan. That is the information. Also, Mudrike, the Lashkar headquarters, Bhavalpur, the Jaish headquarters, Muzaffarabad, Kotli, Gulpur, Bhimbar, Cha Kamru, Sialkot, the place from where Lashkar and Jaish had been operating to push terrorists from across the international border to keep the pot of terrorism boiling. All of these have been on target in the Indian airstrikes. And Pranesh, is this where we claim that 9 places targeted? Do you expect retaliation? We are also given to understand that Pakistani Air Force planes hovering around the Indian airspace, and our Indian Air Force planes also there almost eyeball to eyeball. How do you see this escalating further, or will it be contained at this level?
You know, Navita, I can say this with some amount of certainty that Pakistani forces, out of utter desperation and frustration, are targeting civilian areas like they do all through the year. So this is their way of saying that, look, we can also do something. So large-scale shelling is going on. Pragya is also joining us, Navita, from outside the LKM, and we are being told that the Prime Minister was up all night monitoring Operation Sindoor. Pragya.
Absolutely, Pranesh, and it's a very, good news for India and Indians who are waiting for this Pahalgam attack to be avenged by the government. And what sources have told us is that Prime Minister monitored Operation Sindoor throughout the night, and all the defense our chief were there also. In fact, there were 9 successful targets that have been accomplished by the defense forces, and this is the information that we have got. That also, very smart strategy. We were supposed to have a mock drill today, and in fact everyone was waiting for that mock drill to be over, and then there could be some action. We all were thinking, and in fact that probably was the thinking of the Pakistan as well. But in that particular the strategy in fact was to have attacked all the terrorists. I would say all the thikanas of the terrorists were demolished, and Jaish, and Prime Minister has said that we will target those who are the handlers, and these were the handlers. Those points that have been attacked by the defense forces, they were the root cause of the terror that have been propagated by Pakistan on the Indian soil, and we have targeted.
Navita was, telling us the name Operation Sindoor is symbolic. While the name is symbolic and poignant, the strike is not. It is substantial, and this is something that Pak will never forget.
Abhijit, can you hear us?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Symbolic name for the Operation Sindoor, but targets now being confirmed even by Russian television, who are saying that rubble exists in the aftermath of India's attack. Well, what are you getting in terms of updates, Abhijit, from your sources, and what is the extent of damage? Can we now quantify this damage, and can we also actually give the status update on how much this confrontation, this conflict is going to blow up?
Now, look, what I can confirm is only through exclusion. With Bahawalpur, we actually have visuals. With Muridke, we have visuals. The others, we still do not have those visuals. We probably will never get them. They're going to seize the phones, etc., etc. They'll say, we killed a few crows, or in this case, I don't know, maybe you don't get crows in the other places. Like in Balakot, you probably get parrots and mynas, so they'll claim we've killed lots of those. But we know the moment phones are seized and internet is shut down, the damage is very heavy. Number one. Number two, by the